Okay, the guys that did not participate were A.J. Dillon, Rudy Ford, Elton Jenkins, Isaiah McDuffie, and Preston Smith. Limited were Zane Anderson, Aaron Jones, Josh Myers, Luke Musgrave, Keyshawn Nixon, Jonathan Owens, Jay Reed, T.J. Slayton, Quay Walker, Christian Watson, and Dontavian Wicks.
Did Dillon get that aggravated during the game?
Get his thumb?
Yeah.
Yeah, he had an aggravation during the game, yes.
What do you need to see from Christian this week for him to play? And is there a way to kind of simulate the chemistry with the quarterback that he started to develop?
Yeah, I think, well, today it was mostly jog through. We did have an individual period. It's just going to be his ability to get through the week and show us that he can prove that to us that he can go out there and play. And I know he's eager to be out there. I think he had a good week last week in terms of his ability to run, and hopefully we can stack that and have him available for Sunday, because he'll definitely bring a spark just in terms of, even if it's on a limited basis. We've all seen his playmaking ability and just his intelligence out on the field, and being able to move him around wherever we may need him.
What does Jair have to show you this week to get his starting spot back? Is there anything, or is he just back in there?
Yeah, I'm not going to get into too many of the specifics. You guys will find out later in the week, but I will say that it was great to have him back. We had a great conversation on Monday, and I think he's ready to go.
Matt, you don't want to go through adversity, but both with a young squad, your wins and losses this year, and the injuries that force even younger guys to play. Now that you've gone through those fires, what do you feel like you've gained now that you reached this critical time?
Well, it just shows, I think anytime you go through something tough and you can get through it, you're usually better for it. You're hardened. Certainly a lot of guys got experience that might not have gotten those meaningful reps, and just hopefully we're a better and more battle-tested team, and we're going to need that, because there's adversity every week and within every game. And certainly, Chicago's weathered their fair share of adversity throughout the course of the season, and they've been playing really well. I think, you look at the last 6 games or whatever, I think they're plus 12 in the turnover margin, and, won a lot of games in that time frame.
You've got a lot of young guys in that locker room, and we've asked you a few questions about them, but we haven't asked you much about Preston, kind of being that old head and leadership role. What's he meant, and especially these past couple of weeks that he's had? Yeah,
I think Preston's just the model of consistency in terms of his availability. You can always count on him, and you have been able to do that for years. I think with a bunch of young guys in the locker room, to have a guy like him is invaluable. And I think, obviously he's played at a really high level for us and has made a lot of plays for us, but I think a lot of his contributions don't always necessarily show up on the stat sheet. Just his leadership and how he goes, and he's a pro.
Matt, the Bears defense is playing way better than it did earlier in the season. Aside from the addition of Montez Sweat, like what's made them so different? How have they gotten so much better?
Well, I just think that it looks like a group that has played 16 games together. I mean, you look at their roster, and for the most part, most of those guys are healthy, and they've played a lot of ball together, and they've grown together, and you can see it. It's evident. This is a very well-coached football team with very good players, and it's a very sound scheme. They do a great job of reading the quarterback and reading his eyes. They're stout against the run. So it's a great challenge. They do a great job of getting their hands on a lot of balls, whether it's punching the ball out, ripping the ball out, or creating interceptions. So that's going to be a key for us, is just making sure that we take care of the ball. And it is a challenge because there's just not a lot of holes in their defense. They do a really good job of limiting explosive gains, and I mean, you have to earn everything you get.
You mentioned interceptions, like at 22. How do you create? You mentioned creating interceptions. How do they do that?
Well, they do a really good job of keying the quarterback and breaking on the football. And some of the interceptions, or whether it's D linemen getting their hand up in the air, or there's a lot of bang bang plays over the middle that they've been able to react to the throw and cause the ball to go up in the air and somebody picks it off. I think you look at the back end, a lot of those guys, they all have really good ball skills. They're able to get jumps. It's going to be very important that our wideouts are in sync with our quarterback in terms of the depths of their routes, syncing with the footwork of the quarterback, and he's going to have to do a great job with his eyes because these guys read the QB as good as anybody.
Matt, Jason Leisure with the Chicago Sun-Times. On that subject about their defense, does it look dramatically different from week one where they had a different play caller, they didn't have Sweat? Are you more reliant, scouting-wise, on what they've done recently?
I would say so, yeah. But I also think that just the more you do something, that you can tell they play faster. Everybody's on the same page. They just don't bust, quite frankly, very often. They all play off one another very well. I think those two linebackers in the middle are a problem. Those guys, as good as tandem as probably there is in the league in terms of just, again, their ability to read the quarterback, and the ball gets out and they break on the ball and they're making these bang bang plays.
Matt, do you talk to the team at all about Week 18 last year, or is that just in the past and not something you do?
Yeah, that's not something it's a totally different situation, totally different team. I know the circumstances around the game are the same, but we've been in this mode the last couple of weeks. This is about this year's group, and I think, as a coach, you might take a few nuggets here and there in terms of what you learned from past experiences, but our sole focus is on the Chicago Bears right now.
You had a lot of guys, though, who stood on that field and realized they had blown, a golden opportunity and what it's like to experience that. You don't want them to express that to the rookies, or?
Well, I think it's just a totally different squad. I think there's a different vibe around here. There's a different mindset. We got to go attack. That's the bottom line. We got to go attack. We got to go and play like we have been the last few weeks, just with the mindset, the mentality, whatever it takes. And we know we got a great challenge in front of us. The Chicago Bears team is as improved as any team in the league, and it's evident when you turn on the tape.
Matt, with Jordan Love, we saw that big game in Chicago in week one and then tapered off a little bit and seems to have kind of found his rhythm again. Is there a game that you look at as kind of a turning point for him this season?
Yeah, I think there was, I think I said it the other day, I thought that there was, although we lost the game, there was a lot of good that came out of the Pittsburgh game. There were some plays in there that we were making that it felt like there was kind of a light bulb that went on for everybody. And there was a little bit different shift with some of the stuff we were asking our guys to do, and it's paid off for us up to this point. And so we've got to obviously continue. Each game has the different challenges in terms of how you're going to attack somebody from an offensive standpoint. But I think there was just a lot of growth, not only from him, but the guys around him as well.
As you went about kind of building on the positives from that and making the offense into what it is now, what were the plays from that game that stood out like, okay, we can build on this?
Well, I just think, I think we were able to generate some explosive plays within that game. And then there were plays that maybe we didn't make, but I felt confidence moving forward that given those same looks, we're going to make those plays. So, it's been a cool process to watch these guys grow together. It really has. I know there were some frustrating moments along the way, and I think we're far from a finished product, and I just think this group's got a lot of potential.
We've asked you a couple times over the years about getting the ball to Aaron Jones more. He's 29 now, and I'm not sure that a lot of running backs can kind of have the injury late in the season that he's had and come back and be fresh at the end at this stage of their career. How much do you think that low mileage maybe benefits at this stage of his career to be able to come back and be fresh at this age?
Yeah, I think it's been huge for us. I think you've seen it the last 2 weeks with him getting, you know, 20 plus touches the last 2 games, and just how explosive he's been. We've had a lot of, I don't know what the number is, but in terms of explosion runs, I feel like we've had more in the last couple of weeks than we had maybe the rest of the season. So just his ability to do that, to generate some of those explosion runs, has been huge for our offense. It takes so much pressure off everybody when you're able to do that in the run game. And like I said earlier, this Chicago team does a really good job against the run, so we're going to have our work cut out for us.
Is that a byproduct of the lower mileage? I mean, he hasn't had to be throughout his entire career the sole ball carrier. He's always kind of been in that tandem. Is that a byproduct of that, or is it just kind of who he is?
Are you saying like his ability to create some? Yeah, I think it's a byproduct of a lot of things. I think we've gotten better up front, quite frankly. I think, we've done a pretty decent job throughout the majority of the season in pass protection, but I do think our offensive line's ability to come off the ball, I think our tight ends are blocking better. So I think it's a byproduct of everybody's ability.
In your experience, man, how hard has it been the second time around to beat a team the second time? Obviously, with Detroit, Minnesota, you flipped the script in second meetings this year.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say about that is I think it's always hard. I think every game in this league is hard. I mean, you look at the majority of the league, it's as balanced as I feel like that I can remember in my time in this league. So I think it's always a challenge. I think just going back and watching the game from week 1, it feels like it was last season. It feels like so long ago. So I think when you look at our team and you look at their team, I think we're two totally different teams. So it's going to be a new set of challenges for both of us.
I think it was the Pittsburgh game when they led us into your visitors' locker room. They turned to the right. Here's 5 receivers in folding chairs talking to each other, breaking down the game. And they told us this is something that we're starting to do. I mean, you're aware of that now. Is that pretty special?
Yeah, I would say so, just in terms of just getting everybody on the same page and pulling the same direction. I think, those guys rally around each other. It's fun to – the one thing you love about especially that group is, I think innately they all want the ball, right? I mean, you don't want receivers on your team that don't want to get the football, but to see their genuine enthusiasm for – their teammates when they're scoring touchdowns or they're getting receptions, to see how they responded to Bo Melton after the game. I mean, that was pretty special. And I think we do have a special group that they're a close-knit group. They're all like kind of in the same spot in terms of second year or younger. And so that it's been cool to just see that whole room kind of grow up together.
2 more, please.
Can I ask you about Eric Stokes? Talk about the decision to have him go to start in that Bucs game as opposed to gradually bring him in. And did he have that injury after Friday's practice with his hamstring?
Yeah, that was tough. He came in on Saturday, and it was a bad deal. So certainly a hurt for him. I know how much this game means to him, how much work he's put into this, and it's been a frustrating season for him because it just every time he seems like he's turning the corner and ready to go, there's some sort of setback. So, but in terms of, we felt he was cleared and we felt like he was ready to go. Certainly he's a part of those conversations, and he felt good about going out there and playing. And unfortunately, it's one of those deals that, he's been snake bitten this year, and I do think that he'll come back. He'll be better. He'll be stronger for it, and it's been a frustrating year for him.
What happened to Toure that you were able to put him on IR?
Yeah, he hurt his knee. I don't know if you could see it. It first happened on the punt return, and then when he caught that, it wasn't necessarily supposed to be a bubble, but he ended up being a bubble. Jordan threw a high ball. He came down, and his knee just kind of locked out on him or whatever. And so it's unfortunate, but yeah, he'll be down for a while.